everybody. This is designer K from GeekyAnts, your host, and you're watching Design Dialogues, bringing you everything about design. And in this episode, we will be talking about integrating sustainability in branding. So to talk about this, we have two amazing guests in our show. Muskan, who is a creator and project manager at Wowelz. Thank you so much for joining us today, Muskan.
Thanks for inviting me.
And we have Aditi, graphic designer at GeekyAnts. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So before we get started with the discussion, I would like to know a little bit about yourself, your background, about how you got into design. Can you please tell us about
So hi, as it was said that I am a project manager and creator at Wowelz. I've been into design for around 4 years now, and it's been 2 years since I turned into a full-time professional. I've handled around 50 to 60 odd projects. I've worked with around 30 to 40 brands, and I've worked on around 4,500 creatives till date. Yes, I love statistics. But having said that, my expertise and my interests lie in brand management, brand design, and a lot of graphic design as well. That being said, I'm also a hardcore Bengaluru fanatic, and you can call me for a filter coffee anytime. Even if that is a kidnapping message, I will go for it. It's filter coffee. But yeah, that's about me.
That's great. That's great. It's great to have you on the show. Hope we get to learn a lot from you, Muskan. And how about you, Aditi? Can you give us a little background about yourself?
So, yeah. Hi, everyone. Graphics isn't something that came very naturally to me. I was always more into the other creative fields, which is painting, drawing, illustration, the craft one that we do, like the school CPW stuff. So yeah, that was my go-to thing. If I ever wanted an escape, I just used to sit with a canvas and a brush, and that was like peaceful and the ultimate thing that would relax me down. So just continuing on that particular thing, I found graphics very, very interesting because you always are creating something new and you always are providing the viewers with something that you want to convey. Like, the story is there, but then how you convey it and how you derive it is something that is of your own. That is something that cannot be taken away from you or recreated by somebody else. So yeah, just love graphics for that fact.
That's really nice to hear, and you have an interesting story. And let's get started with our topic. So, in order to learn how to integrate sustainability in branding, we'll start with the basics and understand what is branding. So, Muskan, can you tell us what, according to you, is branding?
So, there isn't a one particular definition of branding or what a branding or what a brand is, right? I feel that there are multiple factors that get inculcated in a brand. But if I would want to, sort of filter it down, I think what Martin Numier said about branding was very interesting. So he says that branding is the end product that your consumer has in their head when they hear your name, right? So, if I say X, what comes in their head, that is a brand. And that involves multiple things. It involves the logo, it involves the color, it involves your the way you speak to the consumers, inward, the way you interact with your employees, and so much more. It's complicated and beautiful, and probably something that really would interest people if they really look into it. Yeah.
All right, Aditi, can you tell us what are your thoughts on branding?
So yeah, as Muskan explained, branding is mainly anything and everything that we do in order to promote a product or a service. And usually the means to do so are via advertising or having a distinctive design that actually stands out on the shelf or wherever you're placing your product to be. It be a hoarding design, it be a physical product that's there out on the shelf. Design does matter, and also how you portray that design and how you convey a message to your consumers matters even more. So, yes, that is something that is very, very important. On doing branding the right way, you can actually set up loyal customers by aligning with their values, by conveying how you care and why you care. And yeah, that builds up a loyal customer which stays for a lifetime and gets you ahead of other businesses that aren't doing so. So,
Alright.
yeah, it's pretty important.
That's great. So now that we have a basic understanding of what is branding, can you tell us how does it impact a company having a loyal customer and you create that trust from the customers? How does it impact a company?
So, long story short, I feel that if a brand doesn't exist, then your customer has nothing to go back to, right? You use a product, the product finishes. After that, okay, ये product खत्म हो गया. Where to now, right? So that's what a brand does. It brings you back, right? It takes your customers back to the thing that that you want them to do, and it can be anything, right? For a toothpaste company, it can be just refreshing your stock. But for a community, it can be just going back and talking more, right? So a brand, brand would, the brand's ultimate goal would depend on what they want their consumers to do. So the call to action. So right, a brand basically helps you achieve that call to action in a quicker manner. A poor brand would probably either take a very long time for that to happen, or would not happen. Your dropout rate would increase. But when a brand has a higher recall value, when it has a really good presence, that thing is immediate. It's like a drug to them, to the consumer, because that there's a immediate recall. There's immediate neurons flying all over your brain and creating like short circuit.
I agree with that. And what's your take on that, Aditi?
So, yeah, I mean, it's important. If you are into the product business, like since we're talking about products, then you can be really big by having a really nice product that has a very unique selling point and it's great in itself. But what if not? I mean, what if it's just a regular product? There isn't so much of difference, or maybe there are n number of other products that are similar to what you have. Then I personally feel that packaging, marketing, your how you want to project your brand, what your beliefs are, and what you actually stand for matters a lot. Because maybe your product is, say for example, same to some XYZ product, but that product doesn't have a sustainable packaging, and you are somebody who is very concerned and very careful about what you use and how that is ending up to be like, is it biodegradable? Can it be reused? Can it be not? So yes, if there's some other brand which is providing you with those certain things, you are going to opt for that. And for that matter, if I cancel out these also, but there's a product that has a beautiful packaging to it, and the other one is like, okay, in some plain bottle, just written what it is. High chances are that you'll go for something that looks more attractive and is more eye-catchy. At least you look for it to the point that you pick up that product. Right. Maybe you read the details, you don't find it like very much in sync with what you believe into, and go to something else. But yeah, definitely, if it has that thing to stand out in the shelf, it's gonna get picked.
So adding on to that, your brand is ultimately the experience you sell to your consumers.
Exactly.
So like she said, your packaging, the way you speak to them, and adding on to that, the way you speak internally to your people as well. So if a brand, let's say there was a huge tech startup that had to fire so many employees, and that didn't fare well on social media, and then people started disliking that particular brand, right? So it's also about how you treat your people, right? That reflects to your brand so much that people will make life altering choices just because you did that. So your brand is about the experience that you give to everyone, not just your consumers.
Absolutely, I agree with that. So now that we already have a knowledge about branding and how it impacts the company, and you both already spoke about a few facts about sustainability, we'll move on to the main topic of this show. So integrating sustainability in your branding. So can you give us a brief about what is sustainability?
So in this world where we are so much aware about the fact that we need to protect Mother Earth, we need to make sure that what we do doesn't negatively impact our future. Sustainability plays an important role. What it is essentially is just taking care of. If I would want to cut it short, just taking care of your future in a way that it doesn't harm the future. So there are multiple factors here. You have your environment, you have the economy, you have the culture, the people, social, so on and so forth. So being mindful of these factors and making sure that these factors are go ahead in the long term and are good in the long term is what sustainability is all about.
Absolutely. What's your take on that, Aditi?
So yeah, she actually covered most of it. Sustainability is about being very much aware about what you're doing and why you're doing that and what impact it's going to have on our environment. It has definitely 3 sections to it, which is the environmental care, the social well-being, and the economic growth, which needs to be there in order for anything to be sustainable. Because leaving one is not going to make it fully sustainable. And at the same point, it's really important that whenever you are going forth to do something or even to consume something, be aware of the fact where the leftovers are going to go to. If you can recycle, reuse anything, why not? Why to just let it go to the waste?
By this, I remember this initiative which was taken like maybe a couple of years ago in Bangalore. I think there are in other cities as well, but there was this public fridge which was kept in a few cities, and it's like helping. This comes under social sustainability, right? So basically you're trying to help the people who are in need and who are not that fortunate to afford food. So you're mainly helping the people and not just throwing the leftovers, but collecting that in one place, and anybody who's in need of it can make use of that. Yeah. So that's, I guess, these kind of initiatives will make a big difference.
So yeah, that was a very good example what you said, right? And I think it covers the essence of sustainability because it's impacting all factors that we are talking about in sustainability. You have the social and the environmental layer to it, that hey, I'm producing zero waste, or hey, I'm helping someone who is socially less empowered to be better. But there's also the layer of economy where hey, there's a shared refrigerator that helps economically less empowered person get what they need, right? And when you talk about sustainability, another important thing is also the quality of life, right?
Yes.
So now with respect to your quality of life, that's one UN SDG, by the way, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, right? So that goal of having a better quality life is also, there is a part of it that is getting fulfilled in this, because what happens is, okay, something as simple as I baked pasta or lasagna today, and there's leftover, I'll put it in the fridge and someone else gets that pasta, so their quality of life is getting improved. Ultimately it's maida,
Yes.
but there's a trade-off between well-made maida and then maida ka roti or something of that sort, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Right? And there's a very nice portrayal of this in this show called Wagle Ki Duniya. It is on Sub TV, where it was a same setup. There's a common refrigerator, and someone got rasgulla, and that that little kid was so happy. So it's all about improving your quality of life, right? And that plays a huge role in your sustainability, your entire sustainable development talk, right? Another important aspect to sustainability is also circular economies. And you'll hear that a lot when you talk to people regarding sustainability. What it essentially means is that whatever you're producing, suppose you're producing a menstrual cup. In whatever cycle you're producing it and whatever cycle it goes through, it produces one, zero waste. Second, impacts all stakeholders in the process. And third, doesn't produce a carbon footprint or produces a very minimal carbon footprint. Okay, and that's what a circular economy is all about. Again, this is a very dumbed down version and it's a discussion that can go on for hours. So I'll keep it very short, but you should definitely look that up when you want to get empowered with knowledge regarding sustainability.
Sure, absolutely. That was very insightful, the example that you gave me, and I didn't really know about circular
Economies.
economy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. With that, I would like to ask you the next question. So, since we know what is sustainability and how we are implementing that in our brand, can you tell us how we can convey this to our users through the brand?
Okay, so there's two aspects to this, right? The first aspect, like we talked earlier in our previous discussion off camera, is that there's something internal and there's something external, right? So first, before looking at external, I'd love to cover internal because this is what we also do at Wowelz, which is basically training your people first, making your people understand what your brand is. Ultimately, as a business, you hire externals who wouldn't really understand the depth with which the founder of the company sort of created that brand, right? So suppose I'm a founder of a company and my story is that, I didn't eat rice when I was little. I didn't have access to rice. So I am a startup that gives rice to everyone. It's a very weird example, but yeah.
I get it.
Right? So now, the urgency of the matter only I will know because hey, mujhe rice nahi mila tha, right? But that urgency of matter your employees won't know until you tell your employees that, right? So this comes as part of your culture, culture documentation. It comes as a part of your hiring. Can you tell the person that hey, this is the urgency of the matter, and hey, this is why we strongly believe in it. You come with us only if you believe in this.
Right.
Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for you to come here because you won't be able to effectively communicate that to the external stakeholders. Right? Then we come to the external stakeholders. Now, in that you have your logo, you have your, your advertisement copies and you have all of that. But what I find really intriguing is the way people go beyond that to explain about, their brand and how sustainable their brand is, right? Even if the brand is not sustainable, that is. So I'm a tech company. I'm not remotely related to sustainability, but the simple things that I do, for example, I ensure that my employees save on carbon footprint, and that I'm telling externally. How do I tell that? First, make sure that you're actually doing that internally. And now when you're doing that externally, you tell them with numbers. Numbers are a very strong brand recall value, right? So A, numbers, B, communicating that story via a very impactful video. That is another way to go. It can also be, championing a social cause, tying up with brands that are related to that cause. For example, let's take that rice startup example. Okay, I am passionate about this. I will tie up with UNICEF to ensure that all children get rice, right? So that is my social responsibility to Mother Earth, right? And with that, I'm communicating as a brand that hey, we strongly believe that everyone should get rice, irrespective of whether they want it or they like it. There is a need for it, and we are delivering it.
Yeah, that's a great example. And
yeah, so to that, I'll just like to add one more thing, which is when you are, so she explained like what should be done. The next thing is, how could it be done?
Yeah.
What are the practical ways to actually do that, to really have it ongoing? And one thing that I've seen is what's like the most impactful is, don't use sustainability way too much.
Yeah.
When you're explaining it, when you're working with your content, be firm, be crisp, be up to the point, keep it simple. Yes, keep it simple. Important, because fancy may not be understood by everybody.
Right.
And you have to reach out to everybody, because it's sustainability and it won't be as impactful as it could be unless and until it reaches every single one of who are out there. So yes, be descriptive about it, and be descriptive about what you believe into and what do you want to convey from whatever you're conveying.
Right.
So yes, be crisp and do not use sustainability way too often anywhere in your creatives or in the content that's gonna go there.
So, to add on to that, I guess brand has a strong, that strength to, pass that message, because we as humans, we are using any other brands, right? And it is affecting our behaviors. So if a brand is actually promoting this as in sustainability, so what happens is we will tend to accept it. And there are many people who still think that sustainability is a very niche thing. So if they try to, if big brands like who are like, we are loyal to few of the brands, and if they try to implement sustainability, then it is going to look normal. So it's going to be within ourselves. We will take that without any, it's not a new thing for us. So we tend to adapt to that sustainability, and this is how things are going to be. We just normalize it, right? So that I feel brand has that capability to do it.
Yeah. I think, so one more thing, this is a thing that I came across very recently. There's a very popular clothing brand which gives you 30% discount if you donate clothes as their sustainability initiative, right? Now, what happens is, I found that great. I was like, that's fantastic. I'm getting discount, yeah. But at the same time, I'm also doing something and doing my bit to, make sure that I be a part of the sustainability movement, because, hey, I do not have means to go fully into it, because I do not have the time to invest in it right now. Yeah. But these are the small things I can do. That is external. But when you go to the news and you see, okay, they are not giving enough wages to the people who are employed there. Sweatshops is a huge issue. They're going to third world countries and not giving them enough pay. Then, kaika sustainability,
Yeah.
right? So it is very important as a brand, like I said earlier, internal and external. Very important to have both of them strong, and very important to ensure that you talk big, but you do big as well.
Right.
So as a brand, like you said, that it is a very important thing to make sure that you're sustainable, but make sure that you're actually sustainable. Don't just toot your horn for the sake of tooting.
Yeah. Right. Example could be like how Zomato is switching to whatever orders we place and we get the deliveries. They are only sending the deliveries through electric vehicles. I think these are small things, but it is going to make a huge impact. And how we have paper packaging, replacing plastic with papers, and things like this. And I would also like to take another example. I think we all know this beauty brand called Wow. Yeah. So whenever you place an order and you receive this plant seeds with your orders, So these are like small gestures which will also attract the consumers, and it kind of brings that they're not completely mentioning we are sustainable brands, eco-friendly, all of that, but still, with these small gestures, it is going to make a lot of difference.
Exactly. And since you mentioned seeds, it's, if you know of fool.
Yeah, I was just going to.
I mean, that's how can we not talk about it if we're mentioning seeds?
Yeah.
So, they actually launched the concept of having a Rakhi, tying it to your brother, and then planting it for a memory.
Yeah.
Why to let it go to waste? And even Indians, especially Indians, we don't like throwing those Rakhis off. Every brother thinks twice before taking it off. Yes, exactly. They all are like, should I not? And then eventually end up tying it till the point it doesn't fall off by its own.
Brothers take note, by the way.
So yeah, sisters too. So yes, that is a very important part. And also, not just the Rakhis, all the other things, from the packaging to how they are transporting it to all the parts that come under consideration when you talk of a product of a brand, they are actually doing wonders there. And it is inspirational. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'll add on to that. So, since you took Fool as an example, if you see their packaging, right, you'll see that in the manual, like they have a leaflet where they tell what this is, right? They have, so I received a package, a gift hamper of sorts that had a very nice portrait of this lady. And behind that, they wrote a message saying that, hey, these, like her, there are, millions or thousands or hundreds, whatever, of women who help us produce this. So, and this is how we socially empower this segment of the society. Right? And that comes in your communication. That comes in your brand story.
yes, exactly. It's like, it's good to be sustainable. It's great when you actually market it, communicate it. I mean, you need to let others know what you're doing and why you're doing, as we discussed before. It all goes to, I wouldn't say a complete waste, but yeah, not that useful if it's not communicated well.
Absolutely.
So,
Your story is important.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, with that, I would like to ask you how we as designers can implement sustainability in our designs.
Be practical about it, right? Seed paper is a great way to save the environment, and it's, it's a great thing overall. It's a lovely gesture. But at the same time, I feel that it is very limited because right now what's happening is everyone's using seed paper, right? And I don't have a green thumb. Every time I try to sew a seed paper, I don't know, the plant just doesn't come out, right? So what do I do then, right? So something as simple as, you don't need fancy papers. You just need something very simple as just biodegradable stuff, right? Empowering your consumer with the knowledge of, okay, this is how you recycle your product. Even better, when you don't have the consumer recycle your product, you recycle it yourself. There are startups who are ensuring that you don't have to do it yourself, right? There's a startup called Plastics for Change. What they do is they source these plastics, these raw materials from, in Bangalore, the BBMP and, the other kabadi walas, and they make that into sustainable packaging.
Okay.
Right? This Ecovia, which basically makes reusable packaging, right? It's a cloth, a cloth folder of sorts, and you put your product in that, and then once you receive that product, the end consumer receives it. There's a QR code which they can scan, and they can schedule a pickup for that particular package, right? And why would I do this as a consumer? That is also a thing, right? So I would do this because I get points for it. I get points, I get rewards for it, right? And now that can also be monetized if you look at it from a really economical point of view, right? So I believe that seed paper is a great start. Your biodegradable materials are a great start, but think beyond it, think innovative, right? I mean, but at the same time, think economical, because ultimately, your consumers are going to pay for it. And if you are not empowering your consumers with money, because paisa hi sab kuch hai, then what are you doing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, mainly you have to prioritize the impact of your product on the environment. Once I think that is clear, most of the journey gets cleared, because you know what raw material you'll be getting, you know what treatment you will be having there, you know the manufacturing process, and then how it's going to be transported further, which all actually helps you calculate on your carbon footprint.
Exactly.
Coming down to that, yes.
Yeah.
And it's also important that we as designers work alongside with marketing people, because they are the ones who are outsourcing things. And we at time are left behind, where we don't really know where the things are actually coming from, how much they cost, and yes, there might be something that is biodegradable or eco-friendly, but may cost a lot. So then what comes into place is, what size should we design it of? What shape we choose for the print or the cut? What kind of print should we go for? And what kind of paper, firstly, we should go for? Once you are final with that, your product costing get fixed. Then your transportation and other things go there. And on calculating everything, you actually can very nicely calculate your carbon footprint. So yes, you could actually manage, work around the circular economy and be more aware and active and concerned for the same.
So I just wanted to add on to this. So you talked about, ensuring your costing is good, ensuring that you know where these products come from, your raw materials come from. So that brings me to transparency and documentation.
Exactly, right? And
Very
also,
important.
yes, one more thing. Sorry, I missed it. Selecting your audience.
Exactly. Right?
Because you don't have the right audience, it's not going to work.
Yeah. For example, if I am a middle-aged dad who, just got this package with biodegradable, मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Like, I am not the audience that you would market this to. If you really want me to have something that I use sustainably, give me a steel box. Give me that cookie box जिसमें हम लोग thread डालते हैं.
But fine glass jar.
हाँ, जिसमें हम लोग juice पिएंगे next time.
Exactly.
Right? So ensure all of that. So coming back to your transparency and your documentation, something that's very interesting is how brands have started to. I think a few brands do it right now, but it's catching on धीरे धीरे with people actually trying to implement this internally. Is making sure your audience also knows your carbon footprint, one, and second, making sure that your audience knows what are the things, where are they sourced from, and how these products are impacting the environment, right? If I apply a face wash, how is this product impacting the environment? How do I make sure that I treat the water in a way that it doesn't impact the environment? So as artists, we know how bad acrylic paint is for water. It is incredibly bad, right? So, but we still use it because it's the safest medium to use, right? So how do we make sure that something like this doesn't end up in the gutter or doesn't end up in the sea, causing harm to the fish? I recently learned about how you can treat your acrylic water to make sure that you can actually give it to the plants after this.
And there's a very little waste that comes out of it, and it's just powder.
Is it a different product?
No. So basically, you wash off the brushes, and then whatever water comes out, then you treat that water, and then how you filter things, no? It's that kind. And then you have the residue in the filter paper that's there. Your paint and all the toxics that are there, they come out like that, which is just powder, and you have clean water. You can
And
use
use
it
that for your plants.
gardening.
Yeah, exactly.
Cleaning, whatever.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all these examples, whatever we talked about, are physical products like the paint, brushes, all of these. Yeah. When it comes to digital, like we design in our laptops, so it's all digital now. So, how can we, make sure that our designs, whatever we're creating digitally, is also sustainable?
So actually, one way to go about it is that you monitor your on-time screen. How much electricity you're using, how much of your consumption rate is. And for designers especially, a thing that I could recommend is that you brainstorm first. You decide in your head first what you want to convey and how you want to convey it. I mean, what you want to convey is the brief, but how you want to go about is it what you need to decide is what you need to decide upon. And having that clear idea in your head would give you very straight direction when you open your laptop and start working on any of the softwares, which is eventually going to take much lesser time than how much you would have taken exploring there. And just like rejecting your own creatives, which I think we all do. So that is there. Another thing for big organizations that I feel not many are doing, they are actually sending out buses for their employees to actually pick and drop them, which is a great thing because they aren't using their personal vehicles. So yes, less pollution there. Also reaching on time because it's a bus. You miss the bus, you miss it. So nobody really misses it. And they're all together, they come there. It reduces your carbon footprint because all that too comes under consideration. How many employees you have and how much of each employee's footprint is to come to your office, basically for the work that they're doing for your firm. So all of those little things, they do matter, they do count. So
Absolutely.
I think being digital is the biggest thing that you can do to save the environment. Of course, there is a different aspect. There are different aspects to which, she covered. But at the same time, I feel that as a designer, we are very less aware about the kind of products that we are advertising for, right? When I was in my earlier freelance days, I used to design for anyone and everyone क्योंकि मुझे exposure मिल रहा है, exposure,
Yeah.
right? And that's not good.
Yes.
Right? So one, being aware about the kind of brands that you work with goes a long way in doing your bit to ensure that, hey, I'm not going to make something for a brand that doesn't treat its employees well. Or I'm not doing something for a brand that basically destroys the world. Right? That's one aspect to it. Another aspect to it is like she conveyed, the way you're just saving on your screen time, right? And the third, which is I feel the most important aspect, just being empowered with knowledge, right? And communicating that via your designs. Yeah. Something as simple as I would show an inclusive family or a family with the female figure being more dominant than the male figure or anything, basically in your imagery.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't want to show just a man being up front and like the woman down or something of that sort. Yeah. Or downplay other communities.
Yeah.
Right? So the way you communicate via your designs also impacts the social sustainability angle to it. What was interesting was initially I decided to just show gender neutral people on any creative I made. Right? And it was very difficult to upkeep. So I'm trying to find alternatives. I'm trying to see if I can blend transgender people, cisgender, this, that, in the creatives I make to make it more inclusive, which also helps me contribute to the society in changing their mentality into that, right? And that also helps your social sustainability.
Absolutely. Okay. So with that, how can we continue to innovate and improve our sustainability practices over time?
So, when we talk about any product for that matter, innovation and improvisation is a must for that product to last, like to actually do good in the market for a longer time period. And the same is required even with the sustainable products. You need to keep on innovating your product or service, that whatever you're providing, and be thorough with what's happening outside, what new technologies are there, what new raw materials are there for that matter, and how can you actually indulge with them, consume, like use them for your product or market them for that matter. And most prompt thing I feel is that if you follow the 4 Rs, that's refuse, reuse, recycle, and reduce, mostly assorted. Like for designers especially, like if I elaborate this, then they actually need to start saying no to not working for designs that are directly going to go to waste. It can be your design, like just the design in itself, where you have worked over a computer or something, or maybe even physically. And it could be also a product that only has the life that's there on the shelf. And once it's consumed, it cannot be reused or recycled and directly just goes to the landfills. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that you need to be mindful about what your consumption rates are and what raw materials that you're consuming and how it's gonna go thereafter. Like how your product's entire cycle, like what your product's entire cycle is going to be. Does it only have a shelf life, or can it be recycled, or can it be like reused? Even better, you reuse first and then recycle later. Why not? So yeah, it's just that being conscious about what you're doing and why you're doing is must for me.
I think adding on to that, a couple of things. So first is educating your audience about these 4 Rs, right? So, for example, even if you have a plastic water bottle, educating your audience as to how they can refuse, reduce, reuse, and recycle that plastic bottle, right? It can be something as simple as one addition to your label, right?
Yeah.
And another thing that I would really like to stress upon is also being mindful about the kind of experience you're creating for your people. Now, a product is one thing, right? Your physical product is one thing, your tech product is another thing. But for example, events, right? Now, events carry such a large, there's so much waste associated to events. It can be, your water bottles, it can be your lanyards, it can be the pamphlets that you receive, just you have your agenda in place and everything. How can you make sure that you are mindful of the waste that you're producing via these offerings to your audience? So one thing that, when I was working with Head Start, we have this annual startup conclave called HSX, right? And a layer to all of this was that we told that we are not going to give agenda pamphlets. We made this completely digitized. We tied up with Introbot and had a PDF sent to the attendees, right? So a layer of tech can solve so much for your end audience and can solve so much to protect their conscience, right? So, and whatever we did give in the form of, a physical offering to the audience was either plantable, right? Or just simply biodegradable, right? So, yes, anything that you do produces waste, but how are you ensuring that you, one, produce less waste, and second, even if you are, how do you mitigate that waste to make sure that it doesn't affect the environment as much it's probably affecting now, right? And another aspect to this is how are you ensuring that your working is impacting the environment in a positive manner. So offline we were talking about SAP labs, right? So the culture that they have is so beautiful. I visited SAP labs ka office in Bangalore recently, and they have this thing where they have no plastic containers. They have no reusable or throwable containers, right? You want to drink water, there's a used cup area and there's an unused cup area. You pick the unused cup, drink your water and put it in the used cup section, right? The entire campus is very circular economy oriented. It's very sustainable, very eco-friendly. Things like that matter, right? So, I think, just overall being conscious and mindful about the kind of work you do, and making sure that you add a little thought to everything that you produce goes a long way.
Yeah, actually, it's like the chote steps make a huge impact.
Right. So I would like to talk about the Japan culture where they follow sustainability in a very good way. They don't really have to present themselves in any of the product that they're making, or they don't have to tell it out loud that we are a country which promotes sustainability and the products that we do is like more sustainable. If they have to like come up with this social sustainability, they have to cut off the trees and build the buildings. There is something which is going off, you are spoiling something, you are destroying the trees. But again, in order to correct that, if you've seen those green buildings in Japan where they have the buildings and they have also like these trees and greens which are added to it. So in that way, they are connecting the dots which, or whatever has been spoiled, they're trying to correct it. I'm not sure if this is an example of the circular economy. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's the best example, I think. So here it is very difficult to convey that to the people. It is a very, as I told you, it's a very niche thing. You have to be very specific and say this is what we are trying to do. But culture differs from country to country.
Education goes a long way, right? And education is a huge part of sustainability that many brands have been ignoring for a long time. There's a difference between education and outright marketing. What most brands are doing is outright using sustainability to market, right? And they don't care much about the education aspect. An act of selfless education is also very important because it makes the connect with your brand and the consumer that, hey, I'm not doing this because I want to advertise my products. I am doing this because I want to make your life better.
Yeah.
Right? The education aspect. And one more thing is just making sure that you are thought-provoking in general. So I came across this very creative ad where they were talking about fish, right? And they were talking about plastic waste and how our plastic waste is negatively impacting aquatic life.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they did something very simple. They made that entire sushi look like plastic waste. So you're inside the sushi, you have some bottles, vagera, like the inside thing, and then the covering is a black garbage bag. Mm-hmm. And that was so interesting to me because it was so subtle and it was such a powerful message. Yes, right. There's another ad that I came across where it was on global warming. I don't remember the specifics, but the ad was literally on water levels and how once it's rising, you go to Mad Over Marketing, you'll see that ad like in the first few posts, right? And as the water levels are rising, the ad still remains, right? And I find such ads impactful. I find such ads doing the right thing, but at the same time not putting it in someone's face. And that's very important.
Absolutely.
Also, along with that, I feel one needs to be really observant because, yes, now it's like if I say in terms of designers, that everybody is going into sustainability, how to do it, why to do it, and what are the means, etc., etc. But if you look back to the days, even today, go to a rural place, they are actually doing it. It is within them. They don't just throw away anything.
Yes.
They use it to the point it could be used. It's not coming from the fact that, yeah, we need to make it, like we need to
लेके कोई गीत ले रात तक कुछ काम
I mean, they use every single last, even after the bail and they cut it, and then they would be like using it. So nothing should go waste. That is, yes, because of lesser funds, but that habit in itself is like great. They use those paint cans as buckets and, for plantations and other things, and it is just beautiful. And we, I think, miss that up while growing.
Yeah.
and it became a trend for us, right?
It was more like earlier we were like very, I want a planter only for my plant. The tin can doesn't look good. But now, okay, I'll paint that tin can into pink with white flowers maybe, and yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful plant.
You can find a lot of cafes which uses this, tires and
Bamboo.
yeah, and it is fascinating for us how they've used it, and we tend to enjoy that vibe. So
Yeah. So, adding on to that, so something that just hit my mind while you were talking about this was how in our SUPW, waste to art or something along those lines was so very important, right? I remember one topic for us was, this was back in when I was in Mary Immaculate. I did my schooling life in Mary Immaculate and Regis National Public School. So when I was in Mary Immaculate, that was very much into our entire thing. In SUPW, in your Children's Day competitions, you had this thing ki, we'll do something on waste management, right? And that early on thinking that, hey, I can use newspapers to make a fan. Or, hey, I can just simply use Tetra Packs to, fold them and make a keychain. Yeah. That was very nice, right? And now I know that schools have moved away from it because they have boards to take care of. But there are organizations like ENSIDE, which is Environment Synergies in Development. They are doing something like that, right? So they have made a curriculum that helps you teach your students waste management and just taking care of your environment better. And it's a certification which is an added benefit, right? So, as people, not just as designers, not just as, professionals, but as people, we need to ensure that we put these organizations on the forefront, right? You have Terry doing a wonderful job in all of this as well, right? So these small organizations, these small additions to conversations when you go out and talk to people goes a long way, because word of mouth is very powerful.
right.
So, and same with the colleges itself. At FEFT we used to have these window displays. So basically, that's like a VM thing where you're given like cardboard windows, and you have to do how a window display is done in that much of space. So, and then it goes to like full size VM that we used to do. But they actually gave us like a separate room to each of the departments for whatever you feel could be reused next. Just keep it there. Next assignment, take whatever you think you need from there, so that we actually didn't have to spend money every time on wood and other things. So it was helpful, and that should be done. I mean, why not? We're just, at times, just to cover the wall, we used to use so many chart papers.
Right, yeah.
Plain chart papers just stuck next to each other because we want that color wall. So yes, those used to be folded, rolled properly, kept there, later used for shoots and other things. So yeah, that also does count, like realizing it now. But yeah.
So at Christ University, where I did my 11th to final year bachelor's at Christ, right? And there we have this, cell called CSA, Center for Social Action, right? And of course, every college has one, what's unique about this and blah, blah, blah. But what really touched me is how all of the ways that's generated in our campus, right? So we have so many answer sheets, right? We have so many projects that we give in printed form. All of this is given to the CSA, where they have a unit for lesser empowered women, and they make plastic. They make frames out of it, photo frames out of it. They make books out of it, and we give that to our guests.
Oh, that's so thoughtful.
Yeah. So what that is doing is, one, that is also telling our guests that, hey, we are doing our bit to protect the environment. B, it is helping women. C, it is also generating a lot of income for these women, because we have stalls that are set up to buy these things, right? And every campus has its own waste management unit that way. And I didn't know of it earlier in my 11th and 12th. I got to know of it in my first year bachelor's. And once I got to know of it, it changed the way I think about, I've never degraded our maintenance stuff, but the way I thought about them changed drastically. For me, they were on a social pedestal higher than any higher up I know, right? And that makes a difference. Just mind your things, making that connect with your maintenance stuff. So then now I have friends with my maintenance stuff, back in college. So whenever I go hug 10 different people first, and then I go and do my work. So yeah, all of these small things matter.
That's great. All right. I think we've covered almost all the aspects of sustainability and branding. I hope our audiences have gotten a lot to learn from our conversation. I gotten a lot to learn from you guys. It was lovely having you both on the show. Thank you so much for being here with us. And
Thank you for helping us.
okay. And I hope to see you again in the same show.
It's damn fun.
Yeah, it was really fun conversation. And I would like to end the show with this. Thank you so much for watching Design Dialogues. I will come meet you guys again with a new guest and new speaker. But Designer K will always be here. So, so until next time, this is your K signing off. Sayonara.